Okay, welcome back to Creating a Natural Law Republic, the Constitution series. This is part 4, and I'm going to be covering the remaining 4, departments or agencies in the Public Service Administration. As we can see so far, the whole idea of a natural law republic is to allow the natural laws to basically keep everything in check. The public service administrations are just there as a mediator or referee to make sure that everything operates as they should. So basically anything that doesn't work in a free market system, the responsibility will be given to the Public Service Administration to act on behalf of the sovereigns of the republic to operate in a responsible manner. And that's the way this whole system works. So again, this is, as you can see by now, this is a system that is going to fully restore the power back to the individual and allow them to, for the first time in their life, achieve their full potential, because the restraints will be taken off. And again, the only restraints are natural law itself. And once you begin to really understand the power of natural law and how it truly is the only authority we need to be abiding by, the more excited that people should get about wanting to adopt this system, because it unleashes the full potential of everything and everybody, and it will truly allow a system of abundance to take hold and let the system of scarcity and survival die off, because that's what the old system was created to do. It was created to enslave us, to extract our wealth, to create scarcity, so that we were basically put down to a survival level. And what they are bringing in is a system that's only going to make it worse. SDG 2030, in that system you will own nothing, but you will be happy, is essentially a system of complete enslavement and complete control over every aspect of your life. If you don't want to go there, we do need to create something else so that we can transition to and break free of this system. So that said, we are going to do screen share now and go over to start reading part 4 of the Constitution for a Natural Law Republic. Okay. Article 4, maintenance of roads and infrastructure. As a vital and integral part of every thriving society, a nation's transportation networks are a necessary public good which benefits everyone in that society. With limited space with which to build a non-competitive transportation infrastructure, privatization of this vital resource is not a feasible and economic reality. Thus, a Department of Infrastructure, Transportation, and Roadways will be created for the maintenance and creation of all existing and future infrastructure. This department will be responsible for collecting the usage fees as set by the department based on predetermined calculations, and distribute the funds to state municipal PSAs and needed for all local projects. The usage fees will be set per vehicle used on the nation's roadways and paid by the individual sovereign based on their own personal usage. Each state will have their own Department of Infrastructure, Transportation, and Roadways to manage local needs and assess the necessary funding for their own jurisdictional needs. They will all report to and be agencies of the National DITR, however, and all funding will come directly from that source. Section 1, Department of Infrastructure and Roadways. Just as everyone pays for the usage of every other service available to make the lives of the society better and more comfortable, everyone should pay only for what they use and no more. Thus, a system of payment for usage will be implemented, and up to the responsibility of each individual to pay for their usage of the roads, and bound to do so via this Constitution and their personal sovereignty social contract. The only fair way to implement this system is to charge a per mile fee per vehicle. However, given the amount of vehicles and miles driven per year, this percentage should be fairly low and completely affordable for all, given the fact that they will be keeping 100% of their income from their economic activities. To implement this system, every member of society who travels in any motorized vehicle on public roadways will have a personal account set up with the Infrastructure and Transportation PSA. Reporting of miles traveled will be required on a basis to be chosen by the individual and will be a requirement as agreed to in their personal sovereignty social contract as well as Section 8 of this Constitution. The reporting intervals to be chosen are monthly, quarterly, biannual, or annually. The account will keep a running total of each individual's usage per vehicle, and a charge will be calculated based on the mileage input at each chosen interval. This is the most fair and logical way possible for everyone to pay for and enjoy the freedom of travel and economic vibrancy. All toll roads will be abolished within this system of payment, as well as no private corporations will be allowed to own or manage any roadways for profit in this republic. Roads are a vital public good and an incredibly beneficial resource for all, and thus should be maintained and paid for by all based on their personal usage. Thus, the roadways and infrastructure will be wholly owned by the sovereigns of the nation, and any changes to policy or changes in fees will be decided upon by a vote by the sovereigns at large, i.e. the entire population of the republic. Article 5. Role of national military. Over the past century, the military-industrial complex we were urgently warned about by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in his farewell speech to the nation has gained completely illegitimate power well beyond its intended scope as defined in the legacy constitutions. The merger of private corporations with the Department of Defense and intelligence agencies has become an unholy alliance of essentially a bully looking for a fight and creating wars around the world for the sole purpose of profit and the illegitimate control and extraction of natural resources. This model in a natural law republic is abhorrent and will no longer be allowed to exist. In order to defend our national interests and to maintain our status as a natural law republic, while the idea spreads throughout the rest of the world, we will maintain a strong military force and imposing defensive posture against any and all aggressors or invaders who believe it is their right to somehow impose their will upon other nations and their people. Conquest is an archaic ideology of past megalomaniacal authoritarians and has no place in a natural law society or a world operating in balance with nature. It is time for the human race to evolve past these ancient ideologies, to ascend to higher levels of consciousness, and to create a world in which no one would ever again think of invasion, oppression, or domination. Diplomacy, use, and distribution of natural resources, and fair trade should always be negotiated through debate, critical thought, and respect for the natural balance of our ecosystems. Section 1. Military bases and locations. With the creation and acceptance of this Constitution by the sovereign individuals of this Republic, the United States of America will officially end its status of empire. We are a nation of natural law, honor, integrity, compassion, and high moral code. We will lead the world with truly evolutionary thought and solving problems via critical thinking, full transparency, and honest debate. Thus, there is no need for the United States of America to maintain military bases anywhere in the world other than its own physical territory and jurisdiction, and only until such a time comes that the rest of the world catches up and realizes the absurdity of maintaining a national defensive or offensive military force. All U.S. military bases not on U.S. soil will begin the immediate process of either shutting down or transitioning over to the host nation's military forces. All current U.S. military bases located on U.S. soil and its territories will remain fully operational, but their missions converted to a solely defensive posture of protecting this fledgling natural law republic from any and all foreign invaders who may wish to derail this idea before it can take hold in their totalitarian nations. Any military status will remain active until such a time comes when all of the natural law republics should decide to begin scaling back and or dismantling their standing military forces. Section 2. Maintenance and management of the national military. The hierarchy of the military and its branches will remain in place as is, with the exception of the Commander-in-Chief. There will be no single Commander-in-Chief, but a group of upper-level management of the National PSA who will oversee the operations of the military branches and their training activities. It is well known that many positions of power in the military have been infiltrated over the years and filled with subversive elements. All those individuals will be rooted out and removed from their positions and replaced with members of the military who fully understand and will swear oaths and allegiance to this new Constitution to support and protect the natural law republic and all sovereigns domiciled within its territories. Being a responsibility of the National Public Service Administration, the military and all of its activities necessary for defending this nation will be financed by and paid for with a portion of the point of sale contributions to be collected by all businesses within this republic. Thus, it is the responsibility of the sovereigns of this republic to spread the word of this system throughout the world so that other nations can acquire the level of freedom achieved under this system of societal management. Once a day comes in the future where the need for national military forces becomes obsolete, no more contribution will be necessary. Thus, this acts as an incentive for everyone to share the message of individual sovereignty with anyone and everyone with whom they communicate. This military force will only be maintained at peak operational effectiveness for as long as it is necessary and no longer than when such a time may come. Article 6. Department of Business Accountability. It has long been agreed by most people of all cultures around the world that human beings were created by an omniscient and omnipotent creator, and that inalienable rights were bestowed upon each and every human being upon their birth and perhaps even conception. Thus, the only true authority over mankind is the Creator and its laws of nature, and no man has the right or authority to claim dominion or impose their will upon others without violating certain laws of the Creator as well. Thus, in a state of natural law, humans are fully responsible for themselves and their actions, and are free to live as they choose. All things created by human beings are also subject to the laws of the Creator, and insomuch as the creators are human beings themselves, other human beings have authority to ensure that any entities created by other human beings operate in harmony and balance with natural laws, as we currently understand them or are willing to learn as we increase our collective consciousness. Thus, individuals have no authority over other sovereign individuals unless they violate natural law in aggressing against another person or their property, but man does have authority over other creations of individuals and must take responsibility in ensuring that these creations of other individuals abide by and align with the natural laws of this republic. Businesses, and especially publicly owned entities of enormous wealth, have been amongst the greatest violators of natural law in history, next to government itself. This world and its ecology have suffered greatly due to irresponsible and careless operations of corporations who have not been kept in check by the governments which were instituted to do that primary job. Corruption has become endemic in legacy systems because of the lack of integrity and moral fortitude of government officials and elected representatives, or of the business owners and shareholders themselves. Because of this blatantly obvious history of destruction, a Department of Business Accountability will be instituted in this natural law republic to ensure that all businesses, both public and private, operate within the parameters set out in this Constitution, as well as their articles of inception and business accountability social contract. Any violations of these contracts will result in the DBA settling any and all disputes in the courts of common law under authority of this Constitution and the Public Service Administration, acting on behalf of the sovereigns of this republic. This system restores power back to the people of this republic to ensure that they are not harmed by the greed of massive corporations as they have consistently been in the past. Section 1. Department of Business Accountability. As a firewall of protection between businesses and the sovereigns of this nation, and for the protection of our natural resources and ecosystems, a Department of Business Accountability will be established as a check to the potentially unrestrained power of any business that may decide it is too big to abide by the supreme law of this republic. This department will be staffed solely by members in good standing of the protector class who are experts in their fields of study or profession. Any dereliction of duties within this department, any corruption or failure of responsibilities which result in harm to individual sovereigns or gross and unacceptable damage to natural resources or ecosystems will result in immediate termination. This department of the Public Service Administration is among the most important of all responsibilities within this republic, as history has shown us the damage that unrestrained business and monopoly can have not only on the people of a nation, but its overall economic well-being too. The DBA will be responsible for maintaining all documentation necessary for businesses to operate within this free market economy. The two primary requirements necessary for business to operate in this republic are a simple registration with the DBA, a signed business accountability social contract, and if a public business, a newly written articles of inception whereby they agree to a new set of fiduciary duties. There will be no licensing of businesses in the system. Professional standards of knowledge and proficiency will be handled within the free market itself, and all industries will be self-policing to a certain extent, wherein, if violations of natural law occur, the business will be held accountable by the DBA and to the sovereigns for reparations of any violations. Section 2. Registration and fiduciary duties of private and public businesses. In a natural law republic, the idea of licensing individuals to do certain skilled jobs or engage in specific activities will not be allowed, as the very idea of granting permission to do things that would otherwise be illegal is a concept foreign under the maxims of natural law. Thus, all industries and sectors are encouraged to manage and maintain their own ethical standards and to police themselves. Any societies or organizations created to oversee standards and operations of certain sectors of economic activity must adhere to the concepts of natural law. The Public Service Administrations will have no say, input, or authority over licensing any activity undertaken by individual sovereigns, but certificates of training, proficiency, ability, achievement, and continuing education are encouraged so as to better inform the public of the high standards of any business entity or individual contractors. One of the most continuously egregious violations of natural law throughout history, and especially since the advent of the stock exchange markets, has been the fiduciary duties of all corporations. Not many have known, but the first fiduciary duty of all public corporations is to maximize shareholder value. The repercussions of this completely ludicrous idea created by the wealthy classes of the world have generated more misery throughout humanity than perhaps anything else. War and democide are statistically easy to account for the amount of unnecessary death and untold misery, but this one idea alone of the primary fiduciary duty being to shareholders over anything else is difficult to calculate, but imaginably immense, to include the entirety of the slave trades throughout the 500-year central banking warfare model of empire. When a business operates under this type of ideology and purpose, the maximization of shareholder stock value comes at the cost of all else. That includes protecting nature and seeking the cheapest possible labor force. Globalization is only making this ideology worse and aiding in the race to the bottom for society overall, and solely for the benefit of a small percentage of very wealthy people who thrive off the misery of others. In a natural law republic, this ideology will not be tolerated, and new fiduciary duties need to be defined, agreed to, and incorporated into every existing and new business entity to ensure that the society remains in balance with natural law. Under the terms of the new articles of inception for every public and private business, the top three fiduciary duties will be to nature, their employees, and to their customers. Any profit left over for investors will be able to be dispersed once all other fiduciary duties have been satisfied to the best of their abilities and satisfaction of the DBA. This department is not meant to be a constraint on business or economic growth, but to create a more equitable, honest, and fair system that protects our shared world and all of the beings inhabiting it. Section 3. Regulation of stock markets. The stock markets for capital investment and business funding will need a complete overhaul in the natural law republic. It has historically been a system of rigged gains for a few at the expense of the many. It is another mostly corrupt and dishonest system run like a casino on steroids and operates completely in violation of natural law. A division within the Department of Business Accountability will be fully responsible for creating the standards by which capital may be raised and stocks created, bought, and sold. all derivatives and exotic speculative financial tools used to illegitimately amplify wealth in the past will be completely unlawful in a natural law republic, as they violate the primary maxims of natural law. This article will be updated as the republic is formed and new systems put into place. The Economic Council of the Department of Treasury will also have equal input into the directives instituted by the DBA Division, created to regulate the markets in a fair and balanced manner so that the negative repercussions they have had in the past can no longer occur. Article 7, Department of Media Accountability. One of the three primary violations of the maxims of natural law is to steal. In a natural law society and republic, it is considered theft to withhold vital information from another in order to take advantage of their nescience or ignorance on a particular subject, by purposely taking away their ability to act on informed consent. Thus, purposely lying to another to gain any economic or other advantage that one would otherwise not have is a violation of natural law and considered a crime. Legacy media organizations owned by megacorporations have been guilty of some of the most egregious lies ever told to the American people, and thus the American people have not been given the opportunity to grant informed consent to many actions taken by the legacy governmental institutions or predatory business entities that they would otherwise have not accepted. Lies are dangerous to individual health and the overall health of society in general, and at an extreme can be deadly. Thus, a Department of Media Accountability will be established in this natural law republic to ensure that honest and truthful reporting is the standard held by any and all media organizations. The firewall in a natural law republic to protect the sovereigns of this nation from those who might or intend to do them harm includes the public service administrations, including the common law court system, the media sources of information for the sovereigns, and the education system. Truth is all that matters in a society striving to align with natural law, and thus, seeking and promoting truth is vital to the harmonious operation of a civil and equitable society. Thus, the media industry must be kept in check and held account for all of their reporting, and no propaganda or blatant lies will be tolerated. The DMA will have the authority, along with any sovereign of the Republic, to challenge any falsehoods reported or promoted by any media outlet in a court of common law, if the falsehood results or may result in harm to individuals or to nature, including all living species. Freedom of speech is vital in a natural law republic, but all sides must be able to be heard and opinions directed towards truth and away from illusion. The incredible deception displayed by the primary media outlets of the past few generations will no longer be tolerated. Okay, so there we have Articles 4 through 7. And as you can see, the public service administrations being set up in this natural law republic are essentially there just to make sure that everything operates smoothly. Businesses and society in general just simply needs to abide by the maxims of natural law. Once a society like this is instituted, we will see many of the problems that we've seen in the past 8 generations come to an end. The very ideology of natural law and understanding our place in this world will create a more fair, equitable, and civil society. Moving forward, we have one final part of this series, and it is going to cover Articles 8 and 9, which are the Declaration of Sovereign Rights and Responsibilities, the ratification of this Constitution for a Natural Law Republic, and Section 5 will also cover the 3 social contracts that form the checks and balances in this type of societal management system. So, follow me over to Part 5 and we will see you over there.